That's a big fish. I've got a big fish on. Whoa! That's a big fish. It's a cold one. But let's go kayak fishing. First fish of the morning. Oh, and it had to be a pollock to start off the day. No. A little pollock. Well, I had a nightmare getting out here. I got down, unloaded the kayak and that. Everything on my kayak was frozen solid. Everything. The rudder, the steering. What I put my, my things for my. I couldn't connect my fish finder up or nothing. I had a right nightmare for nearly an hour. I started paddling out here using my paddle drive and using my paddle to steer me because it was that frozen. Crazy start to the morning. But I'm out here now, so I'm not going to moan. And I've got to admit, it's not that cold out here. Yeah, the tide's going out and it goes down to a 1.6 something. And that's not until, 12:15. So I'm more than likely going to make my way up to Penley Point again. Alright, I'll bring you back if I get any action. Oh, it's come off. Was in then. It's come off. I think it's come off. Oh, it's come off. Well, that's 2 fish I've lost today so far. I'm bloody holding the lure. That's head shakes. What the hell?
Good morning again, sir. That's the 2 pilots disembarked from the 4th constructor. Going to head back up to 4 walk through the bridges with 4 on board.
Trolling the lure. I can't see how.
Flag, Deborah. Yeah, we finished with the Northern's back to full base.
Maybe I have caught bottom. I can't see. Oh, I have. I've caught bottom.
Flag, forceful. Flag, forceful, that's completed St Albans. Heading up 214 more.
Well, I don't get that. Weird. I'm in 20 feet of water. That's strange. Finally a fish. Whoa, 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 mate. God. Just a little one.
Flag, match puts over. Good morning, sir. Heading up to Jupiter with a WC. So 3 on board, over.
Right, I thought I'd just share with you lot what happened on the 30th of June. I was out here about the same distance from land as I am now, fishing, and every so often I could hear help, but it was really faint, and the tide was coming in. It was a big tide that day. I'm sure it was a 5.6 something the tide was going to be, and it was quite choppy out here. It was like 2 foot waves, and the wind was blowing in from the sea as well. Anyway, I was out here where I am now roughly, and I kept on hearing help every so often. And at the time there was mist, but it was lifting above everything there, and I thought, well, I can't see no one, but it was just, but all I could hear every so often was help. And I hung around, and then it went quiet, and I thought, well, is it someone right up the top up there mucking around? So I started paddling off towards coarse sands. I started paddling off to that way, down there, and I got to where you can first see the rocks here in front of me, and my gut was telling me there's more to this. So anyway, I paddled back up here, and then I could hear help every so often again. So I thought, but I'm thinking I can't see no one, and at the time I couldn't get in close enough because of the waves and with the wind. It was quite, rough. And anyway, so I ended up phoning the police, and I phoned 999, got the operator, and I said, look, I might be being stupid here, but I don't know. I'm in a kayak. I'm between Picklecombe and Coal Sands, and I said every so often I'm hearing someone shouting for help, but it's really faint, and I don't know if they're up on the top up there or something. I said it's just strange. So anyway, she said, the operator, she was good as go. I said, I don't want to waste anyone's time by coming out here. And she said, no, don't be stupid. She said it's best to be safe than sorry. So anyway, she said, can you hang around in the area and point when the police and that gets there in the direction of where you're hearing this help? I said, okay. I said, not a problem, I'll hang around here. So I stayed in this area here, right? And then it went quiet for a while, and I thought, I'm going to look a right idiot. I phoned the police. Anyway, the police phoned me back, a policewoman. She said, can you come down to Coal Sands Beach and meet us there? I said, okay, not a problem. As I'm paddling down, I got about halfway down to Coal Sands. It's only down there. I had to go. The Coast Guard phones me. I thought, oh no, what have I started here? So anyway, the Coast Guard was on their way as well, and I'm thinking, I'm hoping I ain't wasted people's time. I really did, because all I heard was help, but it's very faintly, and I'm thinking to myself, well. So anyway, I paddled down to Coal Sands, met up with the police, and then we could see the 4x4 Coast Guard up on the grass up here, pull up. And I said to the policewoman, two policewomen it was, I said, the Coast Guard are up there. She said, well, can you paddle back up there where you were hearing the noises? I said, I'm going to feel so stupid if I've called you lot out and there's nothing here. So anyway, she said, don't worry about it. She said, it's best to be safe and sorry, like the operator said. So anyway, I paddled back up to here, where I am now, looking at the thing. And I'm thinking to myself, I couldn't see no one there. Anyway, when I was down there with the policewoman, she said, we've got the drone going to come over from Plymouth as well to have a look. I thought, oh my God, what have I done here? So anyway, I come up here, the police and the Coast Guard went up into the pathway what leads you up to these wood parts here. And then all of a sudden the water started calming down a little bit, so I could move in closer. And I started paddling in more closer. So as I was paddling in here, I'm seeing an object like look weird on one of the rocks up here, what I'm going to paddle into now. Show you. So I'm thinking that's something on the rock here. So anyway, I could see an object. It didn't look right on the rock. So anyway, this at the moment it's nice and sandy, but there was a bear with me a minute, I'm just this rock here was this rock here was the rock the guy was slumped over. It sat but slumped over it, and this rock here. So anyway, lucky enough, at the time there was a yacht going past quite whoops, was quite close in, and he dropped his anchor, jumped on his little rib, and me and him managed to get to about here. It was, I think I put my kayak on the rocks. I think my kayak was here on the rocks, his little rib was here. That was the closest we could get in. And I looked up there, and all of a sudden at the time I could see the police, and I shouted to them. I said, I found him. So anyway, so he'd been here since 11:30 in the evening. He fell off the cliff on there's a path that goes along up there, and he fell off fell and come down. But when he was shouting to me, I don't know exactly where he was, but he was telling me that he could see me through the bushes. So I don't know where he was actually trapped here, but he had a little gap where he could just see me through it. So that's why I couldn't see him then. But when I went down to meet up with the police and that, he managed to scramble onto one of those rocks. But me and the guy who was here, who got off his yacht and come in, we managed to lift him back over the boulders, because he was up to his waist in water by then, and we managed to lift him back on the rocks to a safer spot. So I shouted to the policewoman, "You're going to need the lifeboat." And anyway, they said, "We've already got that coming," and they sent the inshore lifeboat it couldn't get in here because of the rocks. So the guy with the little rib, he went out, brought one of the lifeboat women in, and I sat with the guy as well for ages. They had to get the offshore lifeboat out here with the little rib on the back to come ashore with them. Then they had to get Coast Guard guys from course hands so they could all lift him onto the little rib to take him out to the all-weather lifeboat, and that took about 45 minutes to do. So why I'm really saying this is, if you're ever out, it don't matter how far you hear someone shouting for help, don't ignore it. Because I could have, if I didn't do what I did, no one would have come past here for, I think it was about 4.5 hours. No one else come past here to that yacht come past, and he wouldn't have heard. The yacht would have heard someone shouting for help there. So, you know, that's the only reason I'm telling you this. You know, I know the bloke has some very serious injuries because I actually met his wife and his daughter and they were telling me. So, you know, I don't know how he is now, but he's a lucky man, because that's one hell of a hill bank to come down. But I just thought I'd share that with you all, so, you know, yeah, don't matter how, I thought I was gonna make myself look a right idiot that day, you know, phoning up and that, but, you know, because they took notice of what I was saying, and I made that phone call when I wasn't sure if it was someone right up beyond the trees I could hear shouting for help. You know, it was lucky, you know, it ended how it ended, because it could have been worse for the poor bloke. But I just thought I'd share that with you all, you know. You know, always take, you know, if you hear someone shouting for help and that, you know, it's always worth making that phone call. It's like the police, the operator, and then when the Coast Guard got hold of me later in the day, they said, you've done the right, you know, you did the right thing, you know. But I just wanted to share that with you all. Right, I'm going to go back out there now and try some more fishing. Well, I haven't had nothing for a long, long time, believe me. I've got something on.
Request, sound to rep, please. Is that from the speaker? Is that chop channel 11 over?
Ooh, nice little fight then. Ooh, he don't want to come up, does he? He's not big. He felt bigger than that. alright, I'm gonna let you go. Well, bit of a better size, but not big. Just got back in and the temperature is only 5.5 now. Madness.